Hello and welcome to my review of the Death Guard Miasmic Malignifier for Warhammer 40,000. One of these models will set you back £35. It consists of 55 pieces and I think it's alright. I had a fair bit of fun building this in one of my Warhammer live streams the other day. Took me longer than I expected. Mainly because of, I want to call it filler, it's not really filler, you call it filler in video game, but in terms of mould lines, there's a fair bit of mould lines. This model is made in China. They make all of their scenery pieces and all of their lovely codexes and lore books in China, and it's a different type of plastic. I said it in the unboxing, I'll always say it, the plastic is harder and it contains more mould lines. Typically the kits consist of less detail, although they're getting better. They're definitely getting better and better. They're definitely getting better with the old detail. It's a tough one because they make that decision that all of those scenery kits are made in China. They kind of box themselves in. If they want to make a scenery piece that has a lot of detail, it's going to suffer, unfortunately. This is one of those kits that has an alright amount of detail and doesn't really suffer in terms of the plastic that they use and the manufacturing methods, so it can kind of get away with it. £35 isn't too bad either. It'll take you a few hours to build and the mould lines aren't nearly as annoying as with the Noctilith Crown. If you want something very Nurgly, Death Guardy, this is the model for you. It is fantastic. I would go as far as to say it would also not look out of place on an Age of Sigmar battle. If you had some plague bearers running around it and a great unclean one, things like that. I mean, there are guns and airships and chimneys and machines and things like that in Age of Sigmar, so yeah, I think it's perfectly acceptable. It doesn't really have any munitions or guns on it or anything really sort of science fiction-y. I can't wait any longer. We're going to dive right in there and have a look at the details. So you've got this furnace. It's like this big type furnace thing. You've got the grill there that's very reminiscent of Home Alone 1. You've got the bells. You've got some chimney stacks. Yeah, I mean, any other day it would look just like some kind of chimney or something. You've got a fair bit of detail on the base. You've got some grating with maggots in each one of those. You've got Nurgle signs all over the place. You've got things hanging off. I've glued these. You don't have to, but I glued them with the feculent narmal and thoroughly enjoyed painting that one. And we'll do a little size comparison with that beauty shortly. But yeah, back to this one. It's got bells and incense chimes and all kinds of things on here. This I've left off because I want to paint the maggots inside. Probably a good idea for you to do the same. I haven't smoothed that off though, but I've just realised I need to do that. But then once it's all painted, then I can just glue that back on, no worries. It kind of spills over its own base there, but it is, I say, a custom base for it. They've you know, it's a scenic base as such, but yeah, it just works quite well. And then if that wasn't enough, you've also got this like little mini furnace thing going on, which again has a fair amount of detail on, some boil spots, the cracked shell, a pipeline, which you don't have to glue this, but I have. That would connect normally to the Promethean pipeline if you wanted to use it with a larger scenery piece. I think they work in tandem. You can even, you know, by having them separate, you can have this somewhere else on the battlefield, near some other buildings, almost like they've set up another one and they're going to expand their industry maybe. But yeah, it's taller than I expected. Let's crack on with these size comparisons then, before I get carried away. So first thing I want to compare it to is with the new Lord of Virulence. So that's where he stands up with the mini one. He's probably about there, but the full size one, he's not as tall as this big this big container, and then you've got this one and then the chimney stack itself. I mean, 2, 3, probably like 3.5 Terminators high. If we throw in some comparisons with the Imperium guys, you've got the normal Space Marine on the left, Primaris on the right, and then Sly Marbo. As you can see, it's going to be quite a nice focal point on your battlefield if you choose to use it, or even just have it as a scenery piece. And that's one of the great things about these kits, is that in a way they're dual purpose, but this one in particular is tri-purpose. You can use it in an Age of Sigmar as a scenery piece, same for 40k, and also as a usable fortification for your Death Guard army. But let's also have a look at it compared to the Demons of Nurgle offering, or the Maggotkins offering, the Feculent Narmor. So here's my painted Feculent Narmor. It's dwarfs the Narmor actually in terms of size, so much so that I think I'd probably like to get a second Narmor to keep it company. But yeah, if you've got a Death Guard army or a Nurgle army, these things are going to look fantastic. Many shared aesthetics. You don't need to put the bells on the way that I have. You can mix and match them. You don't even need to put the bells on at all. I would say have it as like a Chaos Undivided or Khorne furnace stack, but unfortunately it's got the 3 skulls of the Death. In a way, I wish that plate there you could remove and have, you know, put different symbols and things on it. Also, it's got flies on it as well. So, but yeah, having one of these in different factions would have been nice. Maybe we'll get something new for Tzeentch and Slaanesh at some point. But as it stands, I think it's pretty decent and definitely fits into the whole Death Guard aesthetic. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for this Miasmic Malignifier. Yes, it does have rules. It's the newest unit for Death Guard, and you'll find it in their fortification section. They've never had a fortification before, so this is all brand new. It is a power points cost of a 4 and a points cost of 75. So under the 100 point mark there. What's its stat line like? Well, it doesn't have a movement or weapon skill, but it has a ballistic skill of 6+, a strength of 7, toughness 8, 12 wounds, and a save of 3+. It's one of these units whereby the number of wounds remaining affects its strength, but nothing else. So when it only has between 4 and 6 wounds, strength drops to 6, and between 1 and 3 wounds, strength drops to 5. It's equipped with a noxious stink. It's a very short range weapon, it's only 6 inches, but it is heavy 2d6, strength 4, AP -1 and a damage of 1. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, that attack automatically hits the target. So it's a bit like a little flamer really, but like a gas spewer cloud flamer. So abilities, wow, you get a lot of abilities for this. It already includes Disgustingly Resilient and Contagions of Nurgle, so that gives you that aura ability and reduces the damage coming into it by 1. It's also got another 5 abilities for your 75 points. The first one is called Toxic Presence. This model counts the battle round number as 4 for the purposes of determining the contagion range of the contagion abilities it has. So already, that 75 points cost, you are bumping up your Contagions of Nurgle, Nurgle's Gift ability, reducing the toughness by 1, for 9 inches. So you're giving yourself immediately an 18-inch bubble around this thing where it's reducing the toughness. That's very decent. Putrid Explosion. When this model is destroyed, roll 1d6 before removing it from play. On a 4+, it explodes and each unit, excluding Nurgle units, within 6 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds. That's alright, but they've got to be within 6 inches of it. Putrescent Fog Aura. While a friendly Death Guard infantry unit is wholly within 6 inches of this model, it receives the benefit of light cover. If it was already receiving the benefits of light cover, then each time an attack is made against that unit, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll. That's fantastic. You really need to use this unit in tandem with light cover because that's reducing the attack as well as giving them a cover save. And remember, infantry could be Death Guard possessed, it could be Death Shroud Terminators, Blight Lord Terminators, everything from the characters such as the Plague Surgeons to the Cultists and the Poxwalkers. They're all infantry Death Guard, and of course the Plague Marines themselves. So worth doing that if you want to reduce that damage by 1. Seeded Growths. During deployment, when you set up this model, it can be set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 12 inches away from the enemy deployment zone and any enemy models. After a Miasmic Malignifier set up on the battlefield, you can then set up one Pox Furnace terrain feature wholly within 6 inches of it and more than 12 inches away from enemy deployment zone and any enemy models. So again, it can sort of infiltrate You can set it up anywhere 12 inches away from enemy deployment. The Pox Furnace, the little thing, it's an obstacle terrain feature with the following terrain traits as described in the Warhammer 40,000 core book: light cover, heavy cover, unstable position, difficult ground. If a Miasmic Malignifier is destroyed, its Pox Furnace is also removed from the battlefield. So you're going to have to set up the Pox Walker within 6 inches, but it does give light cover. So therefore, if you set up this Pox Furnace, which gives it light cover, and then there are units receiving the benefit of the Pox Furnace's light cover, then that's when the fun begins, when you start subtracting 1 from attackers' hit rolls. So a fantastic unit that buffs your units in terms of the amount of cover they can receive, lowers the toughness of enemy units by 1 within 9 inches, reduces the damage it takes from itself with Disgustingly Resilient, and is also packing a short range flamer weapon, and if all that fails, it can blow up. So the keywords: Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, Death Guard, Building, Vehicle, Smokescreen, Miasmic Malignifier, Terrain, Obstacle, Pox, Furnace. So there you go. That's my review of the Miasmic Malignifier. It's been a pleasure creating these 2 Death Guard reviews for you over the past couple of days, and diving deep into the foul stench of the new Death Guard Codex and all of the ripe rewards it has to offer us. I'm looking forward to giving you reviews of all of my refreshed Death Guard units using the new Codex. It has been almost 4 years, so I think it's time for me to give you some refreshed reviews of those models that are available, especially if you're interested in getting Death Guard. And it'll be a nice segue for me to move into when I start collecting Maggotkin later this year. What do you guys think of the Miasmic Malignifier? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Papa bless.